I would like to call this commission meeting to order. Would you please stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on our agenda tonight is our weekly commission reports and activities. And Commissioner Moore, did you have some?
Yes, I do have a few. Starting this morning when I attended the League of Women Voters meeting, and today's speaker was Kathy Geist talking about the new transit center. Her program was called Lost in Transit, which I thought was amusing, and no one got lost except possibly Kathy and some of her stories, but it was very enjoyable. And well, I am talking about that. I'm a member of the League, of course. The League has done a brochure, which you all have probably seen, which is a list, the guide to officials elected by the citizens of Mason County. So it's name, contact information. And if anybody would like one of these, you can see me after the commission meeting, and I'll have some down by the front desk. So that was today. Wednesday, AWC, which is Association of Washington Cities City Action Days. Thursday, I will be attending a breakfast at City Action Days, and then I'm going to come back into town early to attend the Shelton Chambers State of the Community. And Thursday also, there is a ribbon cutting for the tax lady on Railroad Avenue. On Friday, I will be attending the Peninsula Regional Transportation Planning Organization meeting, PRTPO, and I will be chairing that meeting. And that's all I have this week.
All right. And Commissioner Wilson.
I too have to back up. This morning, actually a couple weeks ago, I attended a youth wellness collaborative, and I didn't have a lot to say about it then, but out of that came a meeting this morning with the Director of Children's Youth Services, and I'm trying to spearhead an event, an organization, something to coincide with our new transit center on youth wellness. They have a great program in Olympia, and I'm hoping we can get something started like that here. So I've got another meeting scheduled with her later in the week, Director of the Children's Youth Services. And then after that, I went to the AWC nominating committee. I'm on the board to nominate the new board of directors there. So today was our first meeting for that. And then, of course, I ran to Mason Transit after that. And then from there, I came right here. Busy day. And then tomorrow, I will be at the AWC also. And then Thursday, I'll be representing the city at the State of the Community. And Friday, I don't know yet. Nothing planned. That's my report.
All right. And I have to back up also, because today I spent the day over in Olympia at the Capitol meeting with legislators and lobbyists and talking about our sewer funding coalition. And tomorrow is our AWC meetings over there in Olympia, which I'll be attending, and Thursday also. And Friday is a open day for me. So that concludes our commission reports, weekly reports. Next is the first opportunity for general public comment. If someone would like to speak, we have a sign-up sheet. And if you have something specifically pertaining to an agenda item, then you might want to speak during that time period. You would just have to let me know when I call your name. So if you would like to speak now, we will let you. Okay? General item. Okay. All right. So it looks like to me the only one who wants to speak right now for general information is Bill Busaka.
Thank you. And three reports on homelessness to the EDP commissioners. And talk about it.
Thank Thank you.
This article just came out last week, and I thought it was quite apropos with what we're dealing with the homelessness in the city. At the Shelton Historic Preservation Board last week, Eric Burke talked about the amount of time he spends just doing code enforcement and the number of people he has to kick out of homeless houses. So the old idea has been that you need to send people to rehab first, drug rehab, alcohol rehab, before they get any housing. What they found is it doesn't work, that nothing happens but the costs go up. So the new idea is give people a place to live first. And, these people have all kinds of problems, mental health problems, alcoholic problems, brain trauma, work trauma, drug abuse, and all of the abuses that we don't even want to think about or talk about or know about. And so these people need lots of help. To give you an idea, in New York City, after they tried the Housing First method in New York City, their city costs went down 88%. Unhoused people cost government lots of money, police costs, hospital costs, detox costs. Denver found that after they started their Housing First program, their emergency room visits went down 73%. Here's something to think about too, and this is all in these articles. 37 homeless people in Florida over a 10-year period were kept track of. They were arrested a total of 1,250 times, with over 60,000 jail days for these 37 people. The total jail, booking, and mental health costs cost the state of Florida $6.4 million. But the best success right now is in Utah, with the help of the LDS Church, and at Denver and New York City, and in Santa Clara County, California. By having Housing First, they find that no, we're not going to turn any of these people into middle-class people. They're not going to have a spouse and 2 kids and a dog and 2 cars. That's not realistic. But to keep them off the street, it cuts down police costs, code enforcement costs, hospital costs. What we have to do is something that, unfortunately, the people in Washington, D.C. have not been doing, which is thinking beyond a week ahead. We have to think in terms of what our long-term cost savings will be. And, I personally walk around the town, and probably most of you have seen me walk around town. I have never once been accosted or confronted or anything. I don't feel this town is unsafe at all. But I also know that there are a lot of homeless people. The jobless rate is high. People crash into, abandoned houses because they got nowhere else to go. So, to give you the last idea that the Housing First saved Denver $17,858 per person over a 2-year period. In LA, Skid Row person costs LA 5 times as much money as a person in Housing First. Last thought is, it's not easy to do this. We need banks' help to use abandoned houses, foreclosed houses. We need community groups. We need community support. We need foundation money. And like I said, we're not going to turn these people into middle-class people, but we're going to get them off the street and save government funding considerably. The nice thing is this is a proven system. It's worked in Utah, New York City, LA, and Denver. This is not an experiment that Shelton's going to be the first to experiment in. This program has been around a while, and it works. Thank you. And I have extra copies to pass out to the coalition members.
Thank you very much for your comments and also your involvement in the community. All right, I have 2 other people that signed up, but they want to talk to a specific agenda item, so we'll wait on them. I believe we're ready for the reading of the consent agenda. Is that
Yes.
okay? Leslie Ann, could we please have a reading of the consent agenda?
Consent agenda vouchers numbered 85178 through 85292 in the amount of $736,034.09. Commission meeting minutes from study session of January 26, 2015.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The agenda passes. We have a piece of old business that we wanted to talk about tonight, and that is going to be brought to us by our Public Works Director, Greg Clark.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. We brought this to you last week and gave you an overall briefing on our SR3 Park and Ride project. The need here is that we need to take the supplement agreement with the state, and we need to move money out of the design portion down into the right-of-way certification portion of that document so that we have money in there to take care of the right-of-way certification process. And the reason it didn't go on the consent agenda for today was the percentages shown on the attachment under the type of work were at 100%, and that was incorrect. The correct percentage is 86.5%, and those have been corrected in your attachment. So this is pretty straightforward, and we need to acquire a small piece of property under this project, and so this will allow us to do that. And I'll be happy to answer any questions the Commission may have.
I would just ask a question, do we need a motion? We do need a motion? Okay. Well, I don't have any questions. It seems like a good thing to do, so. Any other questions or comments?
No, we were ready
No.
last week.
Okay.
Yeah, go, go, go on this project.
Is there a motion to approve this request?
I move that we approve the local agency agreement supplement number 4 for the adjustment of $10,360 from project design to right-of-way line. I move that the mayor be authorized to sign the contract supplement on the commission's behalf.
Second that.
There's a motion and a...
Wait.
Yes.
Budget amendments that need to be made?
I don't...
Surely. And authorize the city administrator to make necessary budget amendments.
I
That's a good thing to add.
don't see that, but,
In my fine
and
print.
to add, if necessary, to authorize the city administrator to make the budget amendment.
Let's just save ourselves a trip back.
Okay.
Yes, let's put that in there.
Good idea.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion, comments, okay? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Okay, next we have an item under new business, and I want to make just a little, I want to get myself on the right page before we start. We've had a little bit of confusion sometimes on people speaking to independent issues other than the regular general public comment period. And sometimes we allow it, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have you speak first, sometimes we have you speak later. The times we have you speak later, certain people are happy. The times that we have you speak first, other people are not happy. So it's my goal to make everybody happy. I don't always accomplish that goal, but it is my goal to get everybody on the same page. Sometimes we need to hear what it is we're talking about. So I'm proposing tonight that we have staff bring us forward the proposal, and they will explain it. Then I would like to see the two people that wanted to speak about that talk first. Then we commissioners talk next. And then if we need to do necessary motions or whatever, then we go on from there. Now, I only want to do that if my fellow commissioners think that's probably the best way to do that tonight.
Yeah, sure, if it works that way.
Does that
Yeah.
sound okay? So what we'll do is we'll try it that way tonight. So why don't you bring forward the briefing? I guess you're going to do that today, Mr. Clark.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, we have been requested, staff has been requested to look into the possibility of having the commission consider and possibly adopt a transportation benefit district for our city. And so we looked at the opportunity. This is a opportunity that is given to us under RCW 3673 that allows a city, a jurisdiction like ours, to look at creating a benefit district for our city, allows the commissioners to act upon that, and should it be approved, the purpose could be, the transportation funding could be used to acquire, construct, improve, provide any type of funding transportation improvements that the commission should desire. In this particular case, our district would be our city limits, the area within the city of Shelton proper. There's several choices that could be made as to the dollar amount, and some of which require the vote of the people. The RCW allows for a simple $20 additional license tab fee that would be added onto any of the vehicles listed in the briefing here that are inside the city limits, that they would pay $20 additional on their license tab for their vehicle, and that money would come to the city to be used for transportation-related improvements. That could be, grant money towards grant opportunities that we have. It could be anything that's in our 6-year program that we do annually. That money could be directed towards sidewalk programs. It could be directed towards streets and overlays and anything the commission really desires to use the money for. We, unfortunately, this year through our real estate excise tax, only have about $34,000 for paving projects. We used a little bit of it last year for the Turner Street paving, but we just don't have a lot of transportation dollars. It's unfortunate. We have a large infrastructure that's aging, and there's a lot of projects that if you can do them in a timely manner, it saves a lot. And so this would be would amount to roughly, for the number of vehicles in the city, would amount to right around $130,000. It would come into the city monthly in the amount of roughly $11,000 a month, and it would be administered through the Department of Licensing, and it takes about 6 to 8 months for that program to get to where money starts coming into the city through that program, and the Department of Licensing charges about a 1% administration fee to do that. If that is the, and I know this is up for a lot of discussion, but should that be the case, we could move forward with this, putting it either on the consent agenda next week or put it under old business, and it could live a life of until such time that the commission desires to act on it. So that's the proposal that we're bringing forward. Like I say, there's other opportunities to increase the funding levels, but it requires the vote of the people. So with that, I'll answer any questions. And
All right. So I think there are people here that kind of want to talk about this. And so I think we will give them the opportunity to say if they have some concerns or whatnot, and then what we'll do is we'll talk about it. So I have two people. Mr. Davis, would you like to come and talk about this?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Tom Davis, 170 West Bushy Road. I'm here to speak in favor of a transportation benefit district for a couple of reasons. I would also like to, after I finish my comment, if we could get the numbers on what would happen if the county participated in that same transportation benefit district, if that would increase significantly the city's revenue source. I'm in favor of it for a couple of reasons. We come to these meetings on a regular basis, and we realize that the city is in dire straits financially. We also realize that the streets in the city are in a state of disrepair, and that advertises us as a poor community. We can say what we want about our community, but the proof is in the pudding when you drive down the streets and you're over bumpy roads and roads that have been, potholes that have been repaired and repaired again. That speaks volumes for people, especially people, tourists who come in, and that is their impression. What they see around them is testament to the economic condition of the city. So there's a dire need to repair the streets, and I think that we need to focus on that, not put that money, if it is approved by way of a councilmatic vote, I think we need to make sure that that money goes to street repairs, certainly on the most heavily traveled streets first and then spanning outward. I talked to a couple of county commissioners this morning at the county meeting about this. I got to see if they would like to participate in this. There was only 2 commissioners, one is on vacation, and one was a maybe and the other was a maybe not. So we need to have, I'll leave it up to you who offered those 2 opinions. But it needs a little bit more discussion. It needs to have some clarification, because whenever you do this, the misinformation runs fast and loose. The solution to that is to make sure that it's confined, that the information is confined, what the money is going to be used for, and who is going to be subject, and what vehicles are going to be subject to it, because already we're talking about snowmobiles and things that are probably not covered by that. $20 is chicken feed, even if you don't have a lot of money. It's $20 on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, okay, maybe you're talking a concern. But $20 when you're registering a vehicle that costs thousands of dollars is a drop in the bucket. I think we have reasonable registration fees now. I think that's exactly where we should focus our revenue generating efforts. I think that if you want good streets and you don't have money, you have to create another source of revenue, and I think this is fair and equitable. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Next is Forrest Cooper.
Thank you very much, Commission. It's interesting going after Tom, not after him, on this one, because usually we see eye to eye. This one, however, I'm going to be just the opposite on this. I'd like to begin with a voice of support for our hardworking public works employees. The guys work very hard to maintain our beautiful city without a lot of money. However, it seems once again the Public Works Department's director's solution to having little funding is to create a new funding source or increase an existing one. I would be in favor of such a plan if the Director of Public Works was operating in a reasonable way with the current money myself and other citizens are providing through existing taxes and fees. I am reluctant to support any new funding source or rate increase for Public Works until the Director can learn to budget correctly and utilize the current funding sources more responsibly with the safety and best interest of our citizens and small businesses in mind. This really seems like a big city idea being imposed on the citizens of our small struggling town. I would like to see some more effort to work with the county to utilize some of their equipment and funding and expertise so the quality of repairs can improve, such as the Turner paving project. We've heard many criticisms to the bumpiness of that, and one of the excuses was, well, we don't have the machine to do it. Well, the county seems to have some pretty smooth roads, so maybe we could borrow one of their machines like we let them use our concrete surfacer and things like that. So I'd like to see more of an effort to work with the county to help with some of our repairs if possible. So also, since some of you making up these proposals, including our director, live outside the city limits, why don't you contribute by donating the same amount to the city fund you're asking others to pay? It's just a thought. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. If there's anyone else who'd like to speak to this subject, now would be the opportunity. We just sign a name here. And yes, Mr. O'Leary.
I'd just like to say that just for the record, although the Public Works Director is submitting this idea, he was ordered to do so by me based on a request from the City Commission. And so he's kind of getting picked on a little bit here for something that he didn't even start up. And I don't know, I think our roads are in terrible shape. And the reason they're in terrible shape is because they have to compete with public safety for the resources. So this, under state law, has to be spent on streets. So for the record, what's being proposed by the City Commission rather than the Director kind of matches up with what we've been hearing tonight. It's a dedicated funding source. It can't be spent on anything but streets. So that's just
for the record.
Just for the record.
Good.
Yeah, I'll stand up. I'm the one who has brought this forward. It was not Greg bringing it forward, and I actually pushed Dave to do it, so it's me.
There you go. Kathy McDowell wanted to speak for 3 minutes, so we will give that opportunity to her.
Kathy McDowell, 326 South 5th Street. Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. I'm in the middle of the road on this one. $20 a year per car. If you have a couple cars, $40 a year. But where does it stop there? Next year we come back with, oh, let's put another $20 on the tabs because we want to do this. Then the following years, oh, let's put another $20 or $40. Where does it stop? Our roads are in desperate need of repair. We spend a lot of money changing our tires out before they should be changed because of the roads. So I'm in the middle. If there's a promise from somebody that the $20 would be it and would not be coming back, but that's not reality in this day and age. So I'm kind of for it, but I'm kind of against it because I'm just afraid that it's going to keep on snowballing and keep on going. Let's add this, let's add that, let's add this. The people are tired of these add-ons, money here, money there, and our city is in desperate need to fix these roads and whatever, but we really need to figure out when we're going to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this subject? If not, we will close that public part of the comment, and then we can hear from us commissioners of what we think about this. So,
I'll jump right in. I think this is long overdue. I know that in the past it's been tried a couple of times in various methods of funding roads. I've been here 35 years and a commissioner for 3 years, and the first thing everybody says is, how come your roads are so crappy? This is an opportunity for the public to, stand up or shut up. You don't like the roads, we got to pay for them. Nobody else is going to pay for them. State is not going to give us money, even with the gas tax going up. All that's going to be absorbed in major thoroughfare where the levels of commerce are greater. This is local money that'll stay local. There are explicit provisions in the state statute of how we account for it and how we can spend it. Lots of transparency there. Nobody can guarantee, Kathy, that it won't go up. That's the nature of everything, costs more. There are provisions where the people can vote, and that's why we're here tonight, mostly to try to determine whether we should form this transportation district. The discussion of how much we want to do, I think, will come later. Just because we form this district doesn't mean we're automatically going to do anything. So I don't want a lot of information getting out there, as Dave said, that's erroneous. I've researched this quite a bit. Many small towns, in fact, more small towns than large towns have already adopted this and are doing. There's currently 40 cities throughout the state, and 2 more were added just this last week. This is the only form of funding that small cities have for transportation. Like Greg said, we get maybe 30 grand a year in a good year, and all we're doing is doing emergency repairs and pothole fixes. We're going backwards. If we have any chance of wanting to do anything about this is the only option we're going to have. And I'm fully in support of it, but I do want to hear from the public, and that's why I went on the radio, thanks to Jerry at KMAS, and tried to get the word out as much as possible for the people to come and speak. We're not going to just force this down people, but we do need to make some decisions, and we need to hear from people. 2 or 3 people is not a good sampling of the public, and I'm a little disappointed that we can't get more people out. And hopefully after this meeting that this gets into media more, that we'll get more people. We do have to hold a public hearing before we can form this. So I'm hoping that next week we bring it back under old business and consider having the public hearing officially to go ahead and move on with this. So that's all I'll say for now. I'm sure I'll have a couple more comments before the end of the evening. So
yeah,
I'll let other commissioners speak.
Mr. O'Leary?
Just another technical matter. The only tax that can be collected through this Transportation Benefit District is the one that you're talking about now without a vote. So any other of the funding options, including additional license tab fees or additional vehicle registration fees, or any other, I think there's a sales tax option, I think there's a property tax option, all those have to be approved with a vote. So this is the only one that can be done without a vote, the one they're talking about now. So if you want to go further, then you got to put her up for a vote, and as long as the law stays where it is right now.
That's why we need to form the district, the TBD first.
It just, everybody's interested in getting the word out that's on accurate, and there's obviously some, people haven't had a chance to look at this, so there's some assumptions that are built in, but some of the ones I heard tonight are incorrect. Did you hear any more, Greg?
The options, as I understand it, that we could have under a voter approval is property taxes, a one-year levy, or excess levy for capital purposes. You can do up to a 2% sales tax or use tax, and up to $100 on a vehicle license fee, like we're proposing 20, but you can go up to 100 with a vote of the people, or you can have vehicle tolls. So the option, other than the $20 that just could allow for commissioner action, is a transportation impact fee on commercial and industrial buildings is the only other option, and that really doesn't fit us very well. So the other question came up is, if we went county-wide, you can make the benefit district really any size that you want, but it requires interlocal agreements between the agencies. It would require one of the commissioners from each, if there's multiple jurisdictions, and if the port was involved or something, it would require a representative from those commissions to be on there, but you'd need at least 5. And in speculating how it might come down, is you probably would submit all of your transportation projects to that board, and they would decide which ones had priority and which ones did not, which would mean we'd have to compete with the county and the port and any other entity within that district if we were going to compete for projects. Now, you could have an interlocal agreement that would just say, everybody in Shelton, you get, I think we had 6,300 cars or something that are of the fee that we would collect the $20 on. But it opens a big can of worms if you start adding other agencies into the mix, and it requires a 5-person board, and there's a whole bunch more rules that come into play. But anyway, just for clarification.
I think just for purposes of that, if you can add other jurisdictions, but the benefits that we'd be looking for, I think we got to figure out what those are before we would do that. So you want to make sure, and it would be those. If we do it ourselves, it's a little simpler than if you try to add another entity. Doesn't mean you can't do it. One of the things that we've done along the same lines that's similar to this is form this this Metropolitan Parks District, and the invitation has been a standing invitation with the county to come in and join us, but at this point that's taken. We've been doing this now for several years, and so thus far we haven't had the county come down and do that. And I don't know why you wouldn't do the same thing with the Transportation Benefit District, and where but you got to make sure that everybody's got something to gain from it. Otherwise, it can't happen.
Sorry, just one correction. Craig, you said 2%. It's 0.2%.
I'm sorry, you're
big,
correct.
A big point.
0.2%.
So we get that out in the public there. It's 0.2% voter approval.
Correct.
Okay, so I'll jump in at this point too, and we have received a lot of information on this, and it seems like it is the wave of the future in many cities. I got some information this afternoon that Tumwater created a transportation benefit district in November, and then this April, the voters will be asked to increase the sales tax 0.2%. So it's not, and the reason for that, the reason for the sales tax is that, so then it's not only the residents that are being asked to contribute, but it's also the people who come from outside the boundaries, which in their case, like what we're talking would be the city limits. But that way the costs are shared a little more equally between the people that live there and the people that come there to shop and to use the services there, which is a way that the county could conceivably pay a little more for the wear and tear on our streets. I had a conversation with the other city commissioner, and there is some interest there in continuing.
The other city commissioner?
The other county commissioner, excuse me, the one who was absent today.
Yeah, I know the rules.
And she is interested in pursuing this when she gets back the beginning of next month. So the conversation can continue on from there. One thing that I would like to pass along as well is that in 2002, Initiative 776, which I believe was the Tim Eyman initiative, was passed, and that eliminated vehicle license fees used by cities for transportation systems and maintenance. So that effectively stripped the monies that we had to work with up until that point. So since then, it's my understanding that other than grants and real estate excise taxes, that's limited us a whole lot. So I share the concern that Kathy voiced about our residents. I feel like it's been kind of unending the last year that we are raising, sewer rates are going up, and water rates will be going up, and we just passed a rate increase for our garbage fees. But we also have horrible streets that are causing damage to all of our cars. So there has to be a more equal way to fund it. I think this is one option that we definitely have to look at, and I just hope that we're able to work with the county or find another way of funding street improvements. The last thing that I just want to make sure that everybody understands is that we as a commission can only pass a $20 per vehicle renewal fee, that anything above that or the sales tax increase has to come from the people, from a vote.
All right, all good conversation. I asked if we could have a little chalkboard brought in because I wanted to just do a little diagram on how I kind of feel about this. So, not that I did study drama in my earlier educational processes, but I had to find the right pen to do it. Doesn't matter if it's red or black. I think we want to be the black, don't we? So we are. All right, here's what we got. Here's a circle. We have a dollar sign right here. Can you see? It's a big circle. It's a circle. We don't want to get too complicated. Just a big circle.
Put that on.
We haven't had any drama for a while, so we might as well have a chalkboard.
Put it to where the other commissioners can see it too, Gary, maybe over there.
We know the rules.
You said you cut off the city commissioner, right?
Yeah.
All right. And it doesn't, it's not very much. It's pretty simple. It's just a circle with a dollar sign, and then we get a dollar sign right here. All right. We have horrible roads. In fact, I remember, if you look back at my campaign 3.5 years ago, my little campaign flyers that talked about we had to work on the roads, we had to improve our roads, we had to pave our roads. Well, after spending 3 years here, looking at all of the other things that we have, I still believe we got to pay for the roads, but my eyes have been open to the enormous costs it takes to run a government in today's world. Here's the issue. This dollar sign here is money that we want to get from the citizens of Shelton. Okay? This is taxes. This dollar here is the money that we would get from someone else, whether it be grants or whether it would be from a company moving into Shelton and providing jobs. Here's where I am. I am, because we have taxed this city to the max, hoping that growth would come, and it will come. I know before I die, it will come, and we will see some prosperity, but that's this money here. We need to look at this money here, because even if it's $20 per car, we have a 30% population that's below the poverty rate in this community. And I cannot, in good conscience, ask them to pay any more at this point in time. And Tumwater is a good example, but Tumwater has money. And Tumwater has the ability for their people to pay for these things. We have just increased water, sewer, and garbage rates. We've increased recycling rates. We want to increase this. We will continue to want to increase these things. We are not at a point to get any more money from the citizens of Shelton. We just can't do it. And so I can afford the $20. I'm sure Mr. Clark could, and Forrest Cooper, I'm sure you could too. But it's not about us. It's about the people that we serve. And at the moment, I have to work for them, and I have to understand that they're tapped out at the moment. And do we need to fix the roads? Absolutely. And I would love to find any way we can do it, but we got to go with this dollar sign here rather than this dollar sign. And that's the best way I can describe it. I can't vote for any more tax increases until we see a store with some significant jobs moving into town, or we see a developer putting in some homes, and we just got to get more tax money on a broad base rather than tax the people that live inside the city limits. That's kind of where I am on that. So that's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't that complicated, but it's $2 signs. So that's my comments on that.
Can I say one more thing?
Well, no. You can't. Not right at the right time.
Okay, all right.
If we can see in our program where we can allow...
You know, I agree that, you know, we are tapping the citizens for this, and you know, money is tight, but I look at this list of cities that are certainly in the same spot, if not as worse as we are. Places like Roy, Washington, much smaller population. Zilla, which is one of the poorest, you know, near the Yakima Nation Indian Reservation, very poor communities. And they have all seen the intelligence in doing this, because it is the only way. We're not going to do it by bake sales or coin jars placed around the community. We've got to do this. If you're going to use the roads, you got to pay. That's just simple mathematics. And I'm sorry to put it on the people, but who else is going to do it if we don't? Are we going to wait another generation? We're already a generation behind in repairs, as Dave has pointed out. That even this money we get will take, you know, a generation basically. That we have to start somewhere. The longer we put it off, the more it's going to cost, and the less it'll get done. So I'm pretty firm on where I stand with it.
Okay, we've had our discussion, and I think it's been a civil discussion. I think we all want paved roads, you know, and I mean, that's the deal, and that's why we have this kind of conversation. So I believe it would be my recommendation to place this under old business, and I would invite the public to come in and have the conversation. We're in normal economic times, we can do a lot of things that this probably would not be a big deal. But unfortunately, I listen to the people, and the people are they just can't do anymore. And we're getting people coming to this meeting and saying, you can't do this anymore. And it's just I just can't do it. And we can get the money, but we just got to look outside of our ratepayers. I really believe that. And so I don't think we're going to vote on this tonight, but I think that inviting the public in more and talking about it, you know, and it might be, yes?
Does the commission want to set this up as a public hearing then for next week under the RCW that sets this up? You're showing it under old business. Do we want to have a public hearing?
Well, we could.
Yeah, that's a requirement, I think, in order.
In order to be able to
Yeah.
progress, if you want to keep progressing on it, then you
Yes.
need to set it up as a public hearing.
That's where I'm at.
So,
Okay, and so that doesn't mean that we have to make a decision
No.
next week. It's just that we can have more discussion.
I think we need more discussion, so I'm not opposed to that.
okay.
Do you want 2 weeks so that we meet all of the requirements of the 10-day public disclosure, whatever? I mean, do we need some advertisement time, or?
Not sure what the what the timeline is for public hearing. Sometimes there's notice. I'm not sure that there is any in this case, but it would be a good idea to do it. And you might want to do it in an evening meeting instead of a afternoon meeting.
I would recommend we do it in an evening meeting, and that gives us time to make sure that, all the dots and the Ts, are.
Well, people have a better chance to know.
Absolutely.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
So I would think that the paper will write about this, and, we can get some people to come and talk about it, so.
I just have a question. Would you be more comfortable with this if it were countywide?
Well, no, it's the citizens of Shelton. They're just tapped out. That's just my opinion. And bringing the county into this situation, I want paved roads, no doubt about it. And I'll put my $20 in the hat at the drop of the hat. I just do not want to put any more taxes on these people until I see one house come in or one business come in or something. I just need to see something in the physical because I believe we have just pressed our ratepayers to the max. And so I don't think I would change my mind on that. I think it's a Shelton issue, whether they did or not. It's still Shelton, citizens of Shelton would be asked to pay another $20. And at the moment, I'm sorry, I'm pretty much in that camp. But I think the 2 weeks, if Commissioner Olson or Commissioner Moore, if they thought 2 weeks in an evening meeting would give the public hearing like we do probably, that we could probably postpone it until then.
You can set this up however you like. You don't have to wait 2 weeks to do it in the evening. You can do it next week in a public hearing. Or you could do it next week in an evening meeting. You could do it next week in a study session. You can wait 2 weeks until we're in our normal cycle for an evening meeting. I mean, it's your call, commissioners, and we'll go based on
The
what
more
we hear you
input,
say.
I think, is fine. I'm willing, I like a night meeting. I also would like to be on the agenda next week again, just to talk about it, to public comment. And then hold the official public meeting in 2 weeks. That way we're noticed and we give 2 more weeks to show up and.
Okay, well, maybe we maybe on the agenda, just invite, just put it on the agenda for open mic to talk about this subject.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the official public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Is good with me.
Because we still have not seen the resolution.
Right, it's marked down in mine as XXXX, so I need a number.
We can see that.
Okay, well, it appears that we concur that we would place this under old business next week, talk about it, and that we'll schedule a public hearing with all the proper notifications for the evening meeting 2 weeks from today, or 2 weeks from yesterday.
Shall do.
Shall do. Okay, is that any other comments from the commission about that? Hearing none, then we can do that. And at this point, is administration report from our city administrator, if he has something.
My report to Mr. Cooper, so I had notes on. Thank you. I'll give it back for us. So. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. It's at the AWC headquarters in Olympia. If any, that is, we did want to invite all 3 commissioners to that, and in that case, it becomes a public meeting. So it will be a public meeting. So if there's someone from the community or from the media that wanted to go over to Olympia tomorrow, you can be there. There's no decisions going to be made. It's really just going to be a meeting of our coalition members and the ones that can get to Olympia for the action days. So.
Okay, any other oh, that was the administrative report, yes.
Oh yeah, and we do have Vicky's got something too. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, I wanted to report that we do have a vacancy on our Civil Service Commission, and under Chapter 41.12 RCW, it is required that we have a Civil Service Commission for our police department, and they are, with the exception of the police chief, they're all civil service employees. So we had 3 civil service commissioners. They serve 6-year terms, and Mr. Tostovan just completed at the end of 2014 his 6 years with us and has decided that he wants to retire from his volunteering for our Civil Service Commission. So I just wanted to announce that there is a vacancy. We will be looking for someone to step in and take on a 6-year term, And so I just wanted to make that announcement tonight. Did you have any questions about?
Is there a way they find out what qualifications they need?
Well, they do have to be a city resident because it is the Shelton Civil Service Commission, and I'm sure a voting member that votes in the elections, a registered voter and those sorts of things. So.
All right. Now, I would ask, now I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to say there's an opportunity for public comment. Kathy McDowell, you're welcome to say your comment now.
Well,
You've already signed in, so if
kind of went out my brain when you told me that I couldn't speak
Oh.
exactly when I...
I just had to get you in the right slot.
Back to this, I'm concerned, as I said, about another $20 per vehicle. That's 40, for our family, it's $40 extra a year, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it does to someone who is on a real fixed income with one or two cars in their family. The thought of bringing the city and county together, I thought about that, and I thought, oh, let's do it a city-county, let's do it a county-wide, but then our monies go out to the county to fix their roads. So it's kind of a win-win, lose-lose situation. We would get more money if we combined both, but then we'd have to split that money. So I'm just really concerned about adding on more expense to the families, citizens of Shelton.
Well, you can come next week. We're going to talk more about it next week, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now, I guess we've already done the public comment thing a little bit. So I do have something under administration final touches. I want to welcome Leslie Ann back to her seat. She's been gone for a few weeks, and she clap for Leslie Ann. And I would also like to thank Tracy for filling in and doing a wonderful job while Leslie Ann was gone in that position. So there you go. I thought we'd do that one. So, but this is also an opportunity for any more administration final touches. So. All right. Very good. Our next meeting will be next Monday, February 23rd at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. This meeting is adjourned.